Hey guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and write down today's objective. Today's objective is I can find the equation of a line given a point and the slope of the line. Okay? Now the equation that we want it to look like is y equals mx plus b. This is called slope-intercept form. In 1 through 3 we are already given the slope and the y-intercept. So what we need to do is we need to put it in slope-intercept form. Now for number 1, it says that b, which is the y-intercept, is 0, -3, and the slope is 5. So they already give us information we need. It's y equals, and then we're going to put 5x because the slope goes in front of the x, and then minus 3 because the y-intercept is 0, -3. Okay, go ahead and do number 2 and 3 on your own, and then we'll go over it. All right, now for number 2, what we have is a slope of -2/7, so it's y equals -2/7x, and then we have a point 0, -8, that's a y-intercept, so we put -8 there. All right, and then for the last one, we have y equals, now you could put -1 x, or you could just put -x, and then since there is no, since the y-intercept is the origin, you could put +0, but you don't really need it there, so you can just leave it as y equals -x. Okay? Now I'm going to give you a reminder on how to play it. All right, so for the first one, let me go ahead and give you the ordered pairs that are involved with this one. So I'm going to put them in order as well. We have -2, -1. We have -1, -3. And then we also have 0, -5. Now, when you play What's My Rule, you need to find out two things. You need to find out what the rate of change is, which is essentially our slope. So we need to find out what that is. And then we need to know what the y-intercept is. And since we know that the y-intercept has an input of 0, meaning that x is 0, we already know that the y-intercept is -0, -5. Okay, so now let's go ahead and find the rate, which is the slope. We're going to look at the y, the rate of change of the y, and you can see the rate of change for the y. That's going to be from -1 to -3, you subtract 2. Right, from -3 to -5, you subtract 2. And then going in the other one, for the x, this is going to add 1, and then we're going to add 1. Okay, so the slope equals -2/1. Okay, so now that we have the slope and the y-intercept, we can do what we did in number 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to wind up being y equals -2/1x minus 5. Now for number 5, the ordered pairs are -4, 2, -2, 5, and then 0, 8. So now what you need to do is you have to find the slope and locate the y-intercept and do that. Go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now we can see that the slope comes from the rise over the run. Right, the change in y you can see is you're adding 3 each time, and the change in x is that you are adding 2 each time. Okay, so the rate is 3/2 because it's the y over the x. The y-intercept is the input of 0, so 0, 8 is the y-intercept. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to write the equation. We have y equals 3/2x plus 8. Okay, now for the last one, I want you guys to try this one on your own as well. The points that you need are 0, -5. We have 5, -3, and then we have 10, -1. Go ahead and find the equation of this line. Okay, so now the rise over the run, which is the slope, let's take a look. We have a increase of 2 each time, so we're adding 2. On the other side, we're adding 5. That's going to be 2/5. All right, and then you can see that the input of 0 is an output of -5. So this is going to be y equals 2/5x minus 5. Okay, now 1 through 6 was all review. Now let's go ahead and get to the new stuff. We're going to go to number 7 right now. Now for the rest of these notes, we're going to be doing something new. All right, so what's going to be happening is we're going to be given a point, which necessarily won't be the y-intercept, and we're going to be given a slope. Okay, now we're going to use this point to put it on the graph, and we're going to use the slope to find out what the y-intercept is so that we can go ahead and draw our line. Now for number 7, we have a ordered pair of -3, 6, and we have a slope of 5. So what we're going to first do is we're going to put -3, 6 on this number line. Now you have to kind of think about where 0 is located for this. So since 0 is a bigger number than -3, all right, what we need to do is we need to put -3 at the top. So we have our -3, 6 right there, okay? Now, the slope tells you the rise over the run in the x and the y. The 5 part, it belongs to the y, okay? So the denominator, which you don't see, is 1. That goes with the x's, okay? So now, what does this exactly tell you to do? Well, since it's a positive 5, that tells you to add 5 to each y. And since it is a positive 1, that tells you to add 1 to each x. That's going to get you the ordered pair of -2, and then you're going to add 5 to 6, which gets you 11. Okay? Then you're going to do it again because, again, our goal is to get an input of 0. So when we do it again, that's going to give us +5 plus 1. So that's going to give us a -1. And on this side, it's going to give us a 16. Okay? We're going to do it one more time because we're trying to get an input of 0. So we add 5 here. And then on this side, we're going to add 1. If you add 1 to -1, you get 0. If you add 5 to 16, you get 21. This is what we're looking for. We want the input of 0, which is what we have now. Now that we have the input of 0, and we already know what the slope is, we can now write y equals 5 over 1x plus 21. That is my rule, or my equation, for number 7. Okay? Okay, now number 8 is going to be a little bit different. Now what we're given is a point of 10, -3, and we're also given the slope of -4 over 5. Now 10 is a number that's bigger than 0, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put that at the bottom over here. So there's my 10, and there's my -3. Now again, this slope right here goes with the y and the x, the change in y and the change of x. The change in y is going to be the -4. The change in x is going to be with the 5. So what this is telling me to do exactly is to subtract 4 from the y and to add 5 from the x. All right. Now if I do that, I'm going to be at the point 15, -7. Now this is not what I want because I'm trying to get closer to the number 0. This is actually me going in the opposite direction. So since I have to work backwards, I have to do the opposite of what these numbers are telling me to do. So this one tells me to subtract 4. The opposite would be to add 4. And on the other side, instead of adding 5, the opposite, going backwards, would be to subtract 5. So that's what I'm going to do to go backwards. So 10 minus 5 gets you 5, and then -3 plus 4 gets you 1. Okay? Almost there. We got to do it one more time. So we're going to go ahead, and to get to the next point, we're going to add 4. Over here, we're going to subtract 5. That's going to get me 0 for the x, and for the y, it's going to get me 5. Okay? So now, what does this mean? Well, we now have all the information we need. We have the y-intercept 0, -5, or 0, +5, and we have the slope of -4 over 5. So now we can do what we did in 1, 2, and 3 and just write our equation. This equation is y equals -4 over 5x plus 5. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at number 9. All right, and we have the point 4, 4, and then we have the slope of -5. Okay? So since the point is 4, 4, should this be at the top or at the bottom of this chart? All right, so 4 should be at the bottom. Now again, going forwards, -5 over 1 would tell you to subtract 5 from the y and to add 1 from the x. But we're going to go the other way because our goal is to get to 0. So instead of subtracting 5, I'm going to add 5. Instead of adding 1, I'm going to subtract 1. All right, that's going to give me 3, 9. All right, I'm going to do it again. Going backwards, I'm going to add 5. Going backwards over here, I'm going to subtract 1. That's going to give me the point 2. Then we're going to have the point 14. All right, we're going to do it again. So this tells me to add 5. On this side, I'm going to subtract 1. That's going to give me 119. Finally, one more time, I'm going to go and add 5. That's going to give me 24. I'm going to subtract 1, and that's going to give me a 0, which again is my goal. My input of 0 gives me an output of 25. My slope is negative 5 over 1. So what is the equation of the line for number 9? All right, so we have y equals negative 5 over 1 x plus 24. All right, let's go to the next page, number 10. All right, guys, now for number 10, we have the point negative 6, positive 5, and we have the slope of negative 1 over 2. Okay, so negative 6 over 5, should that be at the bottom or should that be at the top of this chart? All right, so this one should be at the bottom because negative 6 is smaller than 0, so negative 6, 5. Okay, now what does this slope tell you to do? Right, so for the y, it tells you to subtract 1. So for the y, it tells you to subtract 1, and for the x, it tells you to add 2. All right, and we are going in the right direction because we need to get to a 0. So that's going to give me negative 4, and this is going to get me a positive 4. Okay, so negative 4, positive 4. Now the next one, we're going to do the same thing. Subtract 1 on this side, add 2 to this side. That's going to give me negative 2, 3. All right, one more time because that's going to give me my input of 0. So we have 0, and then we're going to do it one more time over here, negative 1. So that it's going to get me 0, 2. So now that I see that I have an input of 0 with an output of 2, that's my y-intercept, and this is my slope. So now we have y equals negative 1 over 2x plus 2. All right, now for number 11, we have the point negative 9, 0, and then we have the slope of 1 over 3. Now, be careful because this is not a y-intercept. This is an x-intercept. So it's not going to help us in finding the equation. We still have to do what we did with the other problems from 7 through 10. So where would negative 9, 0 be? All right, so negative 9, 0 would be here. What does the slope tell me to do? All right, the slope tells me to add 1 to the to the y, and tells me to add 3 to the x. Now go ahead and finish this problem on your own. Tell me what the equation of the line for number 11 is. All right, so if you add 3, that's at negative 6. Add 1, that's going to give you 1. We're going to do it again. So I'm going to add 3 to the x, giving me a negative 3. Add 1 to the y, which gives me 2. I'm going to do it again. So if I add 3 to the x, that gives me 0. If I add 1, that's going to give me 3. This right here gives me a y-intercept of 0, 3. Again, our slope is 1 over 3. So that's going to be y equals 1 over 3x plus 3. All right, now for number 12, we have a point of 8, 9, and we have a slope of 3, 4. So where should the 8, 9 be in this one? Okay, so 8, 9 should be at the bottom over here. And we have 3 over 4. What that tells you to do is to add 3 to the y and to add 4 to the x. Now, what should you be doing to get to the y-intercept? All right, so we are going to be subtracting 3 from the y and subtracting 4 from the x. So go ahead and finish this problem on your own, and then we'll talk about it. All right, now if you subtract 3 from 9, you get 6. Subtract 4 from 8, you wind up getting 4. We got to do it again. So I'm going to subtract 3 over here. I'm going to subtract 4. That's going to get me an input of 0 with an output of 3. I'm happy now because I have my y-intercept. Here's the y-intercept. Here's the slope. So we have y equals 3 over 4x plus 3. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, now for number 13, what's given is the point -910 and the slope of -1 over 3. I want you guys to try this one totally on your own. So go ahead and plot your -910 into the chart and use the slope -1 over 3 to find the equation. Go ahead and do that. All right, now -910 is going to be at the top over here, and this slope right here tells me to subtract 1 from the 10 and to add 3 to the -9. That's going to get me -6 over here and a +9. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 again. That's going to give me 8. On this side, I'm going to add 3 again. That gets me 3. All right, still not there. I'm sorry, -3. Still not there because we need to do it one more time. If you add 3, you'll get your input of 0. If you subtract 1, that'll give you a 7. All right, so this right here is what I want because I have a y-intercept and I already know what the slope is. So the equation is y equals -1 over 3x plus 7. All right, now for number 14, we have a point of -2, 3 and a slope of 0. Now we also know that 0 can be written as 0 over 1. All right, so go ahead and find the equation of this line. All right, now for this one, you know you got to put -2, 3 at the top of the chart. Now the slope tells you to add 0 to the y and to add 1 to the x. That's going to give us -1, 3. We're going to do it again because we have plus 0, and then we add 1, we get 0, 3. That we have, over here there's the slope, there's the y-intercept, y equals 0 over 1x plus 3. Now 0 times x is going to just make that x disappear, so you get y equals 3, which we should have known because since it's a slope of 0, we know every slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and every horizontal line starts out with y equals. Okay? All right, last one, number 15. The point is 4, -20, and the slope is 5 over 2. So go ahead and do this one on your own, and then we'll go over it. All right, now since it's a +4, that's going to go at the bottom, and then we're going to put the -20 next to it. This slope tells me to add 5 to the y, so to go backwards, I'm going to subtract 5, and then to go backwards on the x, I'm going to subtract 2. That gives me the point 2, -25. I'm going to do it again, so I'm going to subtract 5 on the y side, I'm going to subtract 2 on the x side. That's going to get me 0 and -30. So this right here is my y-intercept, and my slope is right here. So that's y equals 5 over 2x minus 30. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.